Hey, folks, welcome aboard. Once again, it's time for the Hurricane Spliffy show. Uh, Here I am. I don't know if anybody's out there yet, but I'm here. So I just want to fill you in. Things are going. Made it over to Mac's house this week for a cook. He too has a medical card, by the way. And we made some gummies, taught him how to do that. So he got his first cooking lesson. Hey, Bob, welcome aboard. So he got his first cooking lesson, and we attempted to make caramels. Had a bit of a fuck up there. We He didn't have a bowl big enough for the expansion because it expands to like 3 to 4 times its original volume in the microwave. So we tried making a half a batch, and we didn't reduce the cooking time. So a half a batch at 9 minutes turns into toffee. Doesn't remain caramels. So it kind of created a mess. Wasn't going to waste the cannabis, I guess. So, but we had fun anyway. We attempted to infuse some alcohol. Yeah, I like toffee too, but we attempted to infuse some tequila. Use a whipped cream bottle and some nitrous cartridges. And you're supposed to put the weed in the whipped cream bottle and then add the tequila and then run two nitrous cartridges through it, and it infuses the alcohol with the weed. So then when you drink the tequila, you process the weed through your liver instead of your digestive system. So it hits you right away like the alcohol does. You don't have to wait for it. So we made the mistake of filling the whipped cream bottle all the way up with alcohol instead of just to the fill line, which is about halfway. And consequently, the son of a bitch, when we put the nitrous in there, the valve got clogged and we created a bomb. Can't get the bottle open. Hey, it's 4:20. Time to spark this up. So the AH7, welcome aboard. You're just in time for this spliff here. So we went on Google to find out how to get this whippet bottle open, so we could correct the situation. And Mac went on Google, and the first article he came across was about this fitness model who blew herself up with with an exploding whipped cream bottle. So, we decided following her instructions wouldn't be a good idea. So we continued to research further, and finally we found one guy who said, "Set this thing aside." Hey, Jim, welcome aboard. The guy said, "Set it aside for 8 days and try again." There was one guy said, "Take a cardboard box, cut 2 armholes in it." Christopher, welcome aboard. He said, "Cut 2 armholes in it, and that way, when the thing explodes, the only thing that'll be damaged are your arms." So apparently, these things blowing up is commonplace. when you fuck up with them. So I don't know what the hell Mac's gonna do. I told him to take it out in his backyard and just take a 9 to it, and just blow the son of a bitch up and start over again. He doesn't want to lose the weed or the tequila. So I don't know. He'll figure something out. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Uh, so that's the local news this week. So we had fun cooking anyway, and the gummies turned out okay. They were watermelon Jolly Rancher gummies. So hey, dog, welcome aboard. Oh man, this is some coffee stuff. So as the wildfires rage in California, that fucking idiot in the Oval Office is threatening to cut off federal funds because he claims that California isn't cleaning up the floors of their forests well enough. Whatever the fuck that means. Apparently, you're supposed to clean your floors, the floors of your forests. Countries in Europe do this routinely, I guess. I know that Sweden made fun of him over this a few months back. They actually had people out in the forest with vacuum cleaners making fun of Trump over this statement of cleaning up your forest floor. So yeah, so he's going to cut off the funds. Okay. He says this is a statement he made here. He says, this is a quote now. He says, you don't see close to the level of burn in other states. Okay, so it's all California's fault. Okay. So it's all California's fault that they have these wildfires every year. It wouldn't have anything to do with climate change. Heaven forbid it had anything to do with climate change. You're right, H7. The states need to wisen up. Maybe they should be sharing these wildfires. California should be sharing these with other states. Okay. It's not right for them to be keeping all of these fucking wildfires to themselves. They should be spreading these around more. Okay. Arizona, Nevada, what the fuck's wrong with you? Okay. I think you ought to bear some of this responsibility. Take on some of these wildfires yourself. Okay. I think you could help California out here a little bit. I don't think that should be a problem. So speaking of climate change, this asshole in the Oval Office has made it formal. We're pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. Now, this is the dumbest fucking thing ever. He made it official on Monday. Fortunately, it takes a year. Okay. So we have a year from November 4th to before it's official that we're out of the Paris Climate Accord. Now, as it turns out, that's a geekicidal tendencies. Welcome aboard. As it turns out, that's the day after election day next year. So it kind of works like this. What's this dog? Wait a second here. Oh, something for Chris. Okay. Anyway, it kind of works like this. If Trump doesn't get elected, we stay in the Paris Peace Accord. If he does get elected, we're out. I mean, the Paris Climate Accord. Okay. So we got to make sure this guy don't get elected, or the world as a whole is fucked climatarily. Because another 4 years of this son of a bitch, and there's going to be a world left. But the kind of changes he's made to benefit these fossil fuel companies, we don't stand a chance. Okay. It's I'll give you an example. This week, the EPA relaxed their rules for coal burning power plants. The rules on the storage and disposal of waste. Okay. Used to be they had to store the waste for 8 years, and I believe it's now down to 5. And ash can now be filtered and disposed in rivers. They just passed this this clean water bill Trump was so proud of. Well, guess what? It excludes this particular thing from going on. Earth Gal, welcome aboard. This particular occurrence is excluded from that clean water bill. Now, this ash that gets filtered and dumped into our water system contains heavy metals, namely mercury and arsenic. Thousand years, no one will be able to live here. 1,000, 50 years if we're lucky. Trump makes this place increasingly more uninhabitable on a daily basis. Sorry, Spliff, but Trump has already been reelected. You just don't know it yet. God, I hope not. Watch it, Earth Gal Doug is horny. Uh-oh. Dog is always horny. He's a horn dog. Yes, a horn dog and a corn dog, I might add. Yeah, so he'll do anything he can to give all of these companies a break and destroy our fucking atmosphere. Remember there's those big wind turbines and everything, they fucking give us cancer. I'm done with that story. This is some of the coppiest shit I ever bought. Wow. How may I resemble those remarks? Hey, now I resemble those remarks. Any good news this week, Spliffy? Well, I just said wow, so let's talk about this shit that's making me cough so much. This is one of those clown strains I've spoken of in the past. This is called Liberty Haze, which is, I would imagine, something you can only get in Illinois. They create these strains that I'm sure are only available here, and I'm pissed. My dispensary, which has always had a considerable selection, had 6 strains this week. One of them was all CBD. One of them was 10% THC. And the other 4, one of them I'd already used as a weed of the week. And I didn't even bother going for the other 3. This is on the list. This is for next week. I looked at the specials, and I already decided I'm not even going to bother going. Monday is Veterans Day. I'm a veteran. I fully expected there to be some sales or something special for veterans. Last year, there was an extra 10% discount on certain products. I totally expected something like that this year. I've been saving my loyalty points. I was going to slam down all my loyalty points on Veterans Day, take advantage of the specials. Nothing for veterans this year. Not a thing. Pissed me off. Okay. So anyway, this is called Liberty Haze. And I guess it's as close as we're going to get to veterans here. And it's supposed to be G13 and Dog 91. And it too is low THC, 14.74% THC. And like I said, it's making me cough like a sumbitch. But that's not going to stop me from taking another hit. So if you'll excuse me here. Oh, Christopher, you're right. Vets should get a discount, and I do. I get a 10% discount every week, but it used to be on certain days of the year, you'd get extra. Veterans Day, Flag Day, Memorial Day, we'd get extra. Apparently, that's out the window. You used to also get $10 in loyalty points on your birthday, and they threw that out the window this year too. Fortunately, they did that after my birthday. So I got my $10, but other people didn't. If your birthday was after, I believe it was the 1st of July, you were out you were shit out of luck. So See, the problem in Illinois is that um, what's sold in Illinois has to be grown in Illinois. So they're going recreational the first of the year, and I think these growers and suppliers are stockpiling, and as a result, medical card holders are being fucked. Uh, so I'm not happy. Um, Illinois slim pickings everywhere. You're right, dog. That is not good for Illinois. Earth gal, I'm out of it ASAP. Uh, meet Earth gal after work. Comp is over. I'm out within 30 days. Yes, you are. 8-7. This lemon tree strain brings the vapor. Thumbs up from Earth gal on that one. Too poor to go to the clinic anyway. Yeah, well, we're not going to talk about alternatives, are we? I grew up in Beardstown, Illinois. Now I am illegal in Texas. Texas won't legalize shit. I'm sure. I'm sure. Of course, they're closer to going blue than they've ever been before, so maybe there is a chance. So let's get to the wow story. Dog wanted to hear something humorous. Seems the now defunct Donald J. Trump Foundation is yeah, your Trump Foundation uh, is bogus charity. Uh, was ordered by the New York the New York Attorney General at a special proceeding uh, that dissolved the foundation uh, for its persistent illegal conduct. Okay, and they were ordered to pay $2 million. And here's the fun part: they didn't pay $2 million to the state of New York. They had to pay $2 million to other charities. And the shit Trump spent this money on that he collected through the Donald Trump Foundation were things like a 6 foot tall self portrait, okay, and his 2016 presidential campaign, okay, and other legal hassles he had. So this $2 million judgment, I was so glad to see that it wasn't just going in the New York State coffers, but was actually going to be used for what people donated it to be intended, and that was for charity. So they made the right decision. The Attorney General of the state of New York made the right decision and said, give it to charity. And that's got to hurt Trump more than anything, is that he actually had to give money away to charity. Okay. I mean, that had to hurt like a sumbitch. I mean, because the guy is heartless. We all know that. I mean, we've seen that time and time again. So, uh, this this story just shackled the tit out of me. I just is oh boy, he's got to give money to charity. Let's see, Galveston Island dropped weed charges. Oops, it's blocked by some charges against my daughter. They forgot to keep. It's blocked by something on my screen. Oh, forgot to keep the evidence. Well, that was nice. Yeah, he could not give that picture away, I'm sure. Yeah. If our government go on strike, see now we should go on strike from them. Yeah, how do we go on strike? He's hanging on to those for dear life. Oh yeah, he doesn't ever want to reveal that shit. He's taken that all the way to the Supreme Court. His lawyers have already said that. Uh, age 7. Nice to hear you might get out of it in 30 days, Doug. Yeah, that's first I heard. Your settlement could be that soon, huh? Yeah, Buster's here. He's in the back with Mrs. Spliffy. They're watching holiday movies. Ah, ignoring them and withholding our money from them. That's harder than you think. I mean, you got to pay sales tax. They charge it every time you go in the fucking store. Okay, Earth Gal, you too, huh? We'll see you another time. Thanks for stopping aboard. Thanks for coming aboard and stopping in. How's that? It was a pleasure having you here. I hope it was a pleasure being had. It's over within 30 days. I'm out. Yeah, I don't know how you'd avoid paying other taxes. I know we've talked about income tax, Dog, but they'd come and get you anyway. If you had a job, they'd garnish your wages for it. And if you didn't have a job, you don't pay it anyway. So there's no getting around paying taxes. So I don't know how you deprive the government of the money they want. You'd have to explain that one to me, Doug. I don't know how we get out of the tax thing. Ms. Pariah, welcome aboard. And thank you for the flower. I like it that you always bring me a flower. Dog, you're speechless. I'm waiting for an answer to my question. How do we deprive them of the funds they're going to take from us anyway? I'll give you some time to figure that one out, and I'll just move on to my next little story here. Lev Perinas and Igor Fruman are out on bail. Hey, Vinny, welcome aboard. Those are the two guys who back on October 7th refused to appear before Congress, and then on October 8th bought one-way tickets to Vienna after having lunch with Giuliani and at the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. Well, they bought tickets to go to Vienna, and then on the 9th, they had lunch with Giuliani, and then got arrested at the airport trying to use those one-way tickets. They got arrested for making illegal foreign campaign donations to various Republican campaigns and super PACs. So they're out on bail, and they had refused to testify, and now former ambassador to the Ukraine, Marie Ivanovich, testified before Congress. And she talked about this this company, Naftogaz, gas with a Z, Naftogaz, which is a nationally, Ukrainian nationally owned monopoly natural gas company that was being run by this guy, Andrei Kabalyev. And she said Andrei was doing a great job, that prior to Andrei coming along, that 93% of the natural gas in the Ukraine was coming from Russia. And that under his guidance and supervision, because there was a lot of corruption under the former president of the Ukraine before Zelensky. Okay. Prior to his taking over, supervising this Naftogaz company, like I say, 93% of the gas was coming from Russia, and under his supervision, now none of it does. All the natural gas is Ukrainian. They use their own. They don't need to import any of it. And seems that turns out that Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman were eager to get this guy out of there. Oh shit, don't tell me my lighter's dead. Oh, I just had a flame. That was the last one though. Let's see if I have one in the drawer here. Maybe I'm lucky. Is there one in here, dog? Anyway, Lev and Igor were eager to get this guy out of there. Which might give you an idea who they work for. It turns out it's recently been discovered that although it was thought that Lev and Igor were working for Giuliani, Giuliani's been working for Lev and Igor. Lev Paranis gave Giuliani $500,000. Now, is Lev Paranis, this guy gets around. He was a translator for a Russian oligarch and organized crime figure who was on trial here. He's translator for his American attorneys. And he said he was bragging about how he was highest paid translator in the world. So anyway, these two guys, Lev and Igor, up until now have refused to testify before Congress in this impeachment proceedings. Well, Lev got himself a new lawyer because he's decided that he's not only going to testify, but he's got documents he wants to turn over because he was bragging for months and months about how tight he's been with the Donald Trump and the Trump family and everything. And Trump came out publicly and said he don't know this guy, and he's pissed that Trump denies any knowledge of this guy. So so this guy's like, fuck you. I'm going to tell everything. So now here's a guy who's paid Trump's lawyer $500,000. All right. And now he's going to step forward and tell everything he fucking knows about everything he fucking knows. And he's been involved in getting Yovanovitch moved out of Ukraine. He was involved in that. He knew about that months before it was going to happen. Okay. He was boasting to people in the Ukraine that he was going to help get rid of her. Okay. I keep blowing ashes off the front of my shirt if you're wondering what I'm doing here. So he was boasting to people that he was going to see to it that got done. Okay. He's bragging to people over there about how he knew Trump and he knew Trump's family. So this is really going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if he speaks at any of the public hearings, which, by the way, begin next week. Okay, next week, Thursday. It's going to go live, folks. Okay, the impeachment goes live starting next Thursday. we get to see what happens live. We get to hear some of this testimony from people who were there. It's not going to be hearsay. It's going to be people who were in on these conversations, people who were there. Okay, we're finally going to get to hear it from the horses' mouths. Okay. So, what do we have up here on the board? From where I can read. Christopher Neal. I heard Trump plans on attending Russia's annual military parade. I wouldn't be surprised. Can we leave Trump there? I'm okay with that too. He requested the special peepee room. Yes. Yes. The same one he had before. Yeah. Yeah. And will drag out for years, I bet. Well, it can't drag out for too many years. There's an election coming up. No, impeachments don't generally take very long. Okay. They'll just, I mean, people will testify, that evidence is presented. You know, the Senate votes. That's it. Senate votes, you know, one way or the other. And, you know, some very interesting things have been happening, you know. There have been in the last, well, the 2018 election, and now in this off-year election, there have been a lot of Senate and though there've been some Senate seat changes, and there have been a lot of House seat changes. A lot of seats have gone Democratic. Okay, Virginia is all Democratic now. Okay, so things are changing. Hudson Hazard, welcome aboard. So things are changing rapidly around the country. Look, Kentucky. Kentucky has a Democratic governor. Who'd have thunk? Although the Republican candidate has refused to concede, okay, even though he lost the election, he has yet to concede. But, you know, we'll see what happens. But things are changing, you know, little by little, bit by bit. And, you know, Moscow Mitch coincidentally comes from Kentucky. So if the entire state voted a Democrat into their capital, I would imagine Mitch is a little worried about his Senate seat. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Making America metal again. That'd be nice. Let's feel the burn. Yeah, seriously. Things are turning around. I truly believe it. I truly believe it. Where's this nasty thing making me cough? So that's another good news story. I got another good news story. Well, it's a kind of a good news, bad news. In September of 2018, the New York Times uh, published an article by an anonymous contributor who said he was uh, a high-ranking official in the Trump administration, and that he knew Trump was nuts. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, and that we shouldn't worry because there were people, high-ranking officials in the administration who were keeping an eye on him, and uh, things were under control, and uh, that we shouldn't worry that there were adults in the room, as he put it. Well, he's and that he was dangerously unfit to be president. Those were his words. Uh, well, Anonymous is putting out a book. I believe it's coming out next month, and um, he says he's Trump's a toxic combination of amorality and indifference. And the book's called A Warning by Anonymous. And he says we shouldn't rest quite so easily now. Many of those people who were there a year ago to keep an eye on him aren't. So we should be concerned. I do wish we would go kick the cartel's ass in Mexico for killing those young women and children last week. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I don't I don't comprehend senseless violence ever. Okay. It was not crossfire. They knew they were killing them and burning them alive. Exactly. Senseless violence. I never understand senseless violence. Okay. Like a police officer shooting an unarmed naked man. Okay. That's senseless violence. Okay. Or a police officer shooting someone who's running away. Okay. Again, senseless violence. Okay. If someone is running away, why shoot them? They're running away. Let them fucking go. They're going away. Let them go. You can catch them another time. Okay. You're right. It does seem to happen a lot lately. And I think I've talked about that before. I don't believe that that it's I don't think it's a good idea to hire former military police as police officers to work in the civilian sector. Okay. I don't think that's a good idea to hire people who were first trained to kill, okay, to be police officers. I think I would rather be protected by somebody who's an absolute novice who has never handled a gun in their life. Okay. to be trained from the ground up off the street, okay, as a police officer, than to have an ex-military police officer protect me. That's how I feel. It's my personal belief. I would rather have that person than somebody who was trained by the military be a police officer. Okay. I just don't think that somebody who was trained to kill should be a cop. I don't think it's a good idea. The civilian police force. Well, that's what they all were to begin with, and that's what happens then is you have police forces fighting other police forces. Okay, it doesn't work. It's called gangs. Dog, that's called anarchy. That's that's anarchy. You can't just shoot back. That's that's anarchy. There's no order then. We need a civilian force protect us from the biggest gang. I see. I see. You agree, H7. I see. So you want to form a militia. I can't agree. We just have to reform what we have. They do abuse their power. I couldn't agree more. But we have to reform our system. And a lot of places have done that. And I think a good start is body cams. Okay. You start you make people honest, You force them to do that, and technology is helping a lot. If they're shooting at you, you're shooting back into story. That's fine so long as you got a concealed carry permit. But if they're law enforcement and they've identified themselves as such, you're fucked. Hell's Angels for sheriff. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Did you ever watch Gimme Shelter? Things didn't go so well at Altamont. And they didn't even show the part with what happened with Jefferson Airplane. Shit. Fucking band got beat up. The cops here in Houston are in trouble all the time. My eyes are watering. For their senseless killings. Raids on wrong addresses. Oh, that kind of shit's going on in Chicago like crazy right now. Oh, everything you're saying about the law enforcement right now, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, Illinois is in court right now for their FOID card restrictions. But I mean, I just saw a story on the local news about was a woman and her 3 or 4 children. I don't know. They were kept on the floor at gunpoint by the Chicago police for hours. They were instituting a warrant against some guy. It turns out he was locked up in a prison for several years downstate. Okay, he was already in prison for several years downstate, and they were initiating a warrant against him, and they had the wrong address to begin with. It's fucking ridiculous, and there's just one after another of these fucking cases in Chicago. They're in a lot of trouble in the city, and they just caught the police superintendent, who just stepped down this week. Caught him asleep at the wheel, intoxicated. Stopped at a stop sign, asleep. Okay, fell asleep behind the wheel, stopped at a stop sign. Hey, we're coming up on 420. Reasons, reasons, up aboard. You like your 380? Thank you, reasons. Mine's a gunmetal gray. The 12 gauge is flat black. I don't possess a handgun or a rifle or a shotgun. I have Buster. Reasons, don't tell me. Don't yell at me. I hit it, I can't. I can't hit it anymore. You're gonna make me cry. Always yelling at me. Oh, I get to start a fresh spliff, provided I can say it. I'm just sparking this thing here. Are we there yet? Almost. Hey, happy 420. Happy 420, everybody. So that's all the stories I got. Oh, if I lived here, I'd be home by now, which coincidentally I am, as it works out today. You're still burning one right now. The same one? What am I doing tomorrow? Um, football. Doing some football tomorrow. Bears are playing. I forget who. Doesn't matter. They're gonna fucking lose again, bastards. Got to get a new quarterback once again. We have a quarterback controversy in Chicago. Nothing new. Something that's been going on my entire life. So, ooh, 53 days till January 1st. Can't wait. That's when the magic plants bloom. Talked about those last week. Those seeds that you plant and they grow overnight into full cones. Yeah, those are something. Can't wait for those. So, yes, man, NFL Sunday. Busy from noon on. So, don't bother me. Actually, what I do is I record the Bears game and I get into it an hour late. And that way I don't have to watch any of the fucking commercials, including all that fucking halftime commercial bullshit. Uh-oh. Excuse me, I just got some kind of stupid pop-up here that's blocking all the text. There we go. Whoop, where'd you go? Wait a minute. I don't know what the hell is going on. There. Bunch of crazy shit just happened. This cheap ass computer I have. Harvest January 2nd. That's right. So tips, tips, kind of tips. Helpful hints. Um, make sure you put the right end of the spliff in your mouth. That's always a good one. What's this? Reason just what it says. Recon for troops, the first ones, and to spot out the area for intel. What are some of the things that Marine recons do? Okay, that's what they do. So kind of like spies. How to properly view an NFL event. Well, yeah, that was a good tip, don't you think? H7. The only thing is that you can't jump back and forth between channels to watch more than one, you know, because there's more than one going on at a time, oftentimes. But I'm usually only interested in the Bears game when the Bears game is on, but if the Bears is like the late game, then there's no problem. Then I can flip back and forth between the two early games, and then I got that hour break What the hell's going on? I'm getting these goofy ass pop-ups. There. No, stop it. There. Oh, everything's pre-rolled, preset. The drinks, the food, everything is ready in advance of the game. That's what that hour is for. Oh, I never know how it ends. I make sure I don't hear anything. I don't listen to anything. No way do I know what's going to happen. I'm very careful. Very careful. Nobody better tell me or they're in fierce trouble. Yes, 30 years since the wall came down. That thing Reagan took credit for. Yeah. Had nothing to do with had nothing to do with the Russians making a huge mistake that day. The guy making an announcement about the gates being open. And so the guys at the gates got this announcement that the gates were open. So when the people showed up and they said, "Hey, so and so said the gates are open," and so they said, "Well, he said they're open." And they started letting people through, and then once people started going through, they couldn't stop them. So it was a mistake. Uh, they accidentally opened the Brandenburg Gate and made that announcement. They just fucked up. But in point of fact, I think what happened was it got to the point where they said it was a practical matter. They said if you can't if you can't afford to feed the people, set them free. I really think that's what it amounted to. Uh, it was the simplest solution. We can't feed you anymore. We're going to turn you loose on the rest of the world. Uh, I really think that's what the master plan was. Uh, so same year he started trading guns for coke to the Contras. Sure, sure it was the new war on drugs. Yeah, that's the same war it's the same war we're in now. Okay, the endless war in the Middle East. You know, yeah. Yeah, Ali took the fall for that. You're right, he did. Reagan got Alzheimer's. It was his turn to testify. So true. Perfect timing. Well, he was an actor. Before anything else, he was an actor. So, I mean, that was his first career. So, long before he was a politician. So, you know. Oh, that one choked me up. Uh, uh, well, I don't know. I like the music of the '80s, uh, and I was employed, so that was a good thing. '80s are a blur buds. Yeah, and the '70s and '80s all kind of run together, even though they were very different times for me. I held very different jobs. I oh, you just screen fart. Uh, throughout the throughout the '70s, I sold. I worked for a company that sold veterinary pharmaceuticals and hospital supplies, and ketamine was not a controlled substance then. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Said he used to run drugs for the Contras. Arc. Oh. I see. I see. I see. Might not be the thing you want to reveal. Yeah, so throughout the '70s, that's what I did was I worked for a veterinary pharmaceutical company, and it was all hippies except for the branch manager, and he'd basically lock himself in his office, and we ran the place. Yeah, it was crazy. It was really nuts there. It was it was, and it was crazy because they didn't lock up the controlled substances. They locked up the stuff that cost a lot. Yeah, it was a fun place to work. And then in 1982, I went to work for the state of Illinois Liquor Control Commission as a field agent, and I spent the next 16 years going around inspecting liquor establishments and well, I didn't actually. I responded to complaints against liquor establishments, primarily for adulterating their liquor. I was uh, a member of a team, a two-man team, who would go around and with a chemistry kit, and we would test liquor to see if it had been adulterated in any way, but only in response to complaints. But we traveled around and did that. Yeah, watering down the booze or putting cheap shit in the bottles that wasn't the real deal, that kind of thing, you know. Like substituting one for the other, Old Horseshoe for your Jack Daniels, that kind of stuff. So, but there were certain things that you couldn't test, like vodka or rum, because, well, rum you couldn't test because of its high sugar content. It would have to be redistilled in order to test to see if it was genuine or not. Uh, and with vodka, all clears are clears. They're just grain alcohol and water, so they all test the same. There are no acids or solids or fusel oils that would make them any kind of special formula. It's just grain alcohol and water. So what it's just whatever minerals they add to the water that make the vodkas taste different. And it's nothing discernible in any kind of field test that we can do. And then once once casino riverboat gambling became legal in Illinois, uh, my partner and I uh, would travel around the entire state and inspect all the casino riverboats. We were chosen to do that. They wanted uniform enforcement at all the boats, so we were picked to do that. We would take the local agent along with us to each of the boats, but we were in charge and we would, supervise the inspection and make sure that all the laws were uniformly enforced. Because the first time that people went out and inspected the river boats, they they just went shit house. It was just madness, and everybody did everything different. And it was just crazy, and so they said, "Nah, I can't work this way." Because some of the boats were owned by the same companies, and they, compared notes, and different agents interpreted laws differently in different parts of the state, because some guys were idiots. I mean, we actually had an agent who wrote, because giving away liquor is for commercial purposes is illegal in Illinois, and we actually had an agent who wrote a bar up for having a sign that said free beer tomorrow. So uh, uh, there were idiots at work there. So Well, you get people who attempt to pay you off, but that's not how you keep your job. I mean, those are the people who I saw who lost their job were people who took payoffs, and those are the ones who got fired. Uh, if you wanted to keep your job, don't take any money. You know, that's how it worked. Uh, Oftentimes, I even like in the middle of the day, I might have lunch in a place that was in my territory, and the waitress would come over and say, "Well, the owner bought your lunch." Well, I'd leave a tip big enough to cover the check. So if it ended up in her pocket, I didn't have a problem with that. But I felt that my conscience was clear that I paid enough I paid for the meal as far as I was concerned. If it didn't go in his pocket, that's not my problem. And if she got it all, then more power to her. So, but uh, I didn't take anything. I was offered the most I was ever offered was $3,000. But I said no, and that was a guy who was he was what that was the only person I ever in all the years in the all the years I tested liquor, and I did that for 10 years, and then they discontinued doing that in 1992. Uh, in the 10 years that I tested liquor, this was the only guy we'd ever come across who'd actually literally watered his liquor down. Actually put water in the bottles, and he was nothing in his place tested over 55 proof. So and it was and there were I don't know, I think we took 60 some bottles of liquor out of there. It was a nightclub. So and he had like and it was all real cheap stuff. It was Hannah and Hog, and it was he had like 6 bottles of this and 7 bottles of that and 8 bottles of this, and it was all open and full, and the neck labels were soggy, and we couldn't get our bottle seals. We had corks and bottle seals that we would use, and we couldn't get our bottle seals to stick because the neck labels were so soggy. So my partner went out to get a roll of Scotch tape from a drugstore on the corner. This place was called Jamie's Elsewhere Lounge. It was all black inside. It had a steel dance floor and black lighting, black lighting, and but we were there during the day. And so while he went to get the tape, I said, "Let me see your storeroom." So we go in the storeroom, and there's nothing in there except about a half a case of blue curacao. And I said, what's going on here? Where's your liquor? And he says, well, he says, let me explain. He says, this is a punk rock club. He says, I get a lot of young people in here. He says, they drink. He says, they get drunk. He says, they cause trouble. He says, I call the cops. I got more trouble. So as a public service, I'm watering the liquor down. He says, I can put $3,000 on the table here right now, and I could leave the room. He says, and if I came back and it was gone, I wouldn't say anything. I hope you appreciate my honesty. And I said, well, my partner and I don't operate that way. I said, we're going to be removing all of your liquor to our laboratory for further testing. I said, I hope you appreciate our honesty. And that was the end of that conversation. He didn't have anything else to say to me after that. And the club never reopened. And uh, um, but a couple of weeks later, somebody broke into my garage and slashed my tires and slashed up the leather interior in my car. So I don't think it was anybody else but him, because I didn't have any other enemies, you know. And the club wasn't that far from my house. It's only about 2 miles. But insurance covered it. Homeowners, I think. Imagine if you took the bribe. Well, now I almost burned your boat down. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, dog. You dirty dog. Yes, I was storing my boat at this guy's house, and he owed dog money. Dog thought my boat was his. I was gonna torch the son bitch till somebody said, "No, wait a minute, that's not his boat. That's Spliffy's boat." I almost lost my boat. Oh, no, it was a terrible thing. Oh, please don't you burn my boat, because I don't want my boat to be burned. That's right. Didn't want my boat to be burning. Wasn't my debt. Well, we both know you're a fool to be working for the guy. I did the same thing. And then I loaned him money. That's okay. He's dying now, so we're even. So you know that, don't you, Doc? Yeah, that's what Randy said. And he's got cancer or something. So I told Randy, I said, "Well, I guess I'm not gonna get my 3 grand back, you know?" No, not dog. The guy who owes the guy who owed dog the money. The one who he thought owned my boat. Of course, we're all dying, you know? Oh, I thought the drugs would have taken him out or got shot. No, not yet. No, he didn't get shot yet. No, it's some kind of cancer. I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention. I wasn't interested. Yeah. I don't know if he was still on the pipe or not. You know, he might. I don't. He's still. I think he was still down in Arkansas. So I don't know. Anyway, more news. But yeah, he's dying of cancer. So, did you ever get your money? I know I didn't lose my boat. Is the lady paid you having to leave him alone? Uh, See, I couldn't get that. They'd already moved to Arkansas. You were lucky they still lived in Braidwood then, huh? Take it I'm not a big Bob Marley fan. I'm a huge Bob Marley fan. Stir it up. My favorite Marley tune is Three Little Birds. Oh, you went to where I was looking for him. Yeah, see, they'd already moved to Arkansas by the time I loaned him. No, I loaned him the money before then. They were still here then. By the time he by the time I wanted the money, they were gone. Randy was up at the bar last night. I was he was playing guitar and singing. He said goodnight and then he went up, he got his guitar and he came back again. He had a $180 some bottle of tequila he brought back from Mexico. Pretty good stuff. You know how much I like tequila. Yes, he does love his voice. He he sang uh, Neil Young's Old Man, and then Stephen Still's Southern Cross. I'm so high. Me too. I'm getting down to the end of the tail end of two here. And I was just gonna say I'm coughing less, but I just blew that shit in the street. uh, oh, uh, whew. It's experience reasons. Experience. That's all it takes. Years of training. Conditioning, you know. Okay, so I have the down low. You have the downstairs living room set up with computers and TVs, along with unfinished new loom. Okay. Oh, you finished the new loom. Cool. When I used to smoke, I could smoke all day, but now, nope. So you don't smoke at all anymore? Oh, well, I don't smoke any less. I always like to lay that old joke on people about how I used to smoke weed in the 60s, and now I don't care what temperature it is. So, oh, I see a puppy dog. Oh, that's Heidi walking around behind me. So, oh, there she goes. There's her ass heading for the water bowl. Here, I'll put my hand there so you don't have to look at a dog's ass. Going to start the new scarf tomorrow. Cool. Page 7 needs coffee. Black and purple would be cool. I don't know. Sounds sounds I don't know. I think I'd rather have a blue and orange one myself. Know what I mean? Hmm, know what I'm talking about? The Bears. You have a pound of black and a pound of green. I'm going to see how many that makes. I see. So are you hinting that perhaps I should be purchasing my own yarn? Spliffy, my daughter just said to me again, who is that guy you're watching? He's good looking. He looks like Leonardo DiCaprio. Wow. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the compliment. I'm the fat Leonardo DiCaprio. She hasn't seen me from the neck down. Oh, you'll buy yarn. There you go. You got orders coming in, dog. Only orange I saw when I looked is burnt orange. Ten mil per scarf. Uh, use thick or thin yarn. Thick, thick, thick. This is gone. It's two splits. Have to switch to the Yokan pretty soon. So, uh-oh. Heidi's talking at me. So, number 4 worst. And I use 2 strands to bulk it up for comfort and warmth. Yes, they're very thick, bulky, and very nice. I don't know what show I featured them on. You'll have to look back, watch them all, and then you'll see which show it was. And of course, give it a thumbs up. So, can we make that WURST? Can we send you those kind of worst? 4 of those? Can you make a scarf out of them? You know, like an edible one? You don't use coffee. No, I want a scarf made out of worsted. You know, one I could gnaw on periodically. You know, a hot dog. What do you say? Well, if you're making the other one out of worst, why can't you make mine out of worst? WURST. Just a different kind of worst. I guess you'd have to build a bigger loom. What do you think? What do you think? Not brat you brought. What? uh, uh, this is fun. But I got dogs talking. Uh, 'Cause I got high. Yeah, 'cause I got high. Good song. Yeah, yeah. I like Smoking Pot a lot. It's a good song too. I like that one. What's that guy's name? Wheeler or something. It's a good one. So I think I'm too stoned to stick around much longer. Yeah. Um, you know what I always say? There's nothing funny about peace, love, and understanding. Bye, guys.